Hello and welcome to the Fighting Spirit Podcast. As always, I'm Jason and I'm here to bring us the retrospective for UFC Fight Night Kattar versus Ige and the upcoming fight picks for Figueiredo versus Benavidez 2. We did okay with the fight picks for Kattar versus Ige. We came in at about 45% accurate. Not everything went our way, but hey, it is what it is. Let's get into it. Here's the show. Alright, let's talk about the Kattar versus Ige card. It wasn't the best card for us. 5-6 overall, 45% accurate. Let's just get into it. So, Calvin Kattar, Dan Ige. I think the big story here is that Dan Ige wasn't able to score any takedowns at all. He attempted 5, 6, 7 of them, somewhere in there, and was stuffed each and every time. And I thought that was going to be his pathway to victory. He definitely edged out Kattar in the takedown department, and Kattar didn't have the best takedown defense going into this thing. It's since gone up. He's now 88%, but at the time it was a little bit lower, and so I thought Ige was going to be able to exploit that a little bit, get inside on him, and really just beat on a guy in, well, I guess they've both fought recently. I was going to say Kattar, just coming off that fight, but really, Barboza, Ige just happened, and Kattar Stevens just happens. Both these guys have had similar layoffs leading into this fight, and regardless of what I thought was going to happen, the reality is Calvin Kattar's boxing, his overall striking, and his takedown defense is phenomenal. He was able to handle everything Ige had. Ige was throwing bombs at him, trying to stop him in every turn, every round, and Ige did bring the heat, even with his eye closed up at the end. Kattar ultimately outstrikes him 105-84, scores one takedown himself, and that's kind of all she wrote there. Calvin Kattar is on a journey to the top of the UFC 145-pound division, and it's been fun watching him get up there. So, Eric, if you're out there listening, you were correct. Kattar got the nod in reality, and I was wrong about the Ige pick, but hey, it is what it is. All right, moving on. Tim Elliott, Ryan Benoit. In this one, Elliott needed a win, and he got one. He did everything imaginable to try to get there. He was put in a knee bar, grimaced in pain, did not tap, broke out of it, had dislocated fingers, threw tons of shots, got takedowns in. He was like a wild man in there, maybe not as disciplined as he needed to be to pick up a win. I mean, he did win, but at times things got hairy, I guess we could say. I would like to see a little more discipline in Elliott, but he still got the W. That's all that matters. And so Elliott's career will continue more than likely in the UFC if he chooses to compete. But we also got to say, hey, Ryan Benoit is a solid competitor as well. He nearly could have won that one. He nearly got that submission in, and he looked competitive the whole way through. So hats off to him. But Tim Elliott finally broke his 4-fight losing streak and picked up a win. And the next one we got wrong. Again, I think takedowns are part of the story here again. Jimmy Rivera, Cody Stamann. So I had called Stamann to win here. I really thought that he was going to be able to use his superior wrestling background to muscle Jimmy, or technique him at least, to the mat where he could kind of sap the gas tank a little bit of Rivera. But he was not able to do that, and Rivera throws heavy, heavy hands. He's also a strong ball of muscle, and he was able to shove Cody off of him each and every time he shot in. Also make him pay the price, outstriking him 2-1. So hats off to Jimmy Rivera. I didn't think he had it in him, but he did, and was able to overcome the takedowns. And the next one we did get correct. Talia Santos defeats Molly Mccann. Solid affair. Molly Mccann was basically beaten up everywhere that they took this fight. She was taken down 5 times. She was put in a lot of Muay Thai clinches where some great clear knees were struck by Talia, and Talia put on a fantastic performance against a top flyweight competitor in Meatball Molly Mccann. In the next one, we got this one wrong. Munir Laoziz defeats Abdul, Raziq, Hassan. And in this one, Hassan came out of the gate like a goddamn firebolt, and he tried to put it on Munir as soon as he could. He threw everything but the kitchen sink at this guy, and he would not go down. He would not be denied. And after Hassan was basically, on his training wheels trying to stay up, Munir was smiling and laughing at him because he knew that he had gassed himself out and he would have nothing left to compete for the rest of the fight. And that's how it played out with Munir dominating everything past about 3 minutes into the first round because Hassan had basically punched himself out. And even though he did connect with some decent shots, the chin on Munir was like a goddamn piece of granite, and he was able to absorb all the strikes. So hats off to him, and we look forward to seeing him in the UFC some more. In the next one, Khabib 2.0, as he called himself, I was a little hesitant to give this guy extra credit going in because of such a tall claim. But Khamzat Chimaev defeats John Phillips handily. He wins via Darce choke. I mean, he took him down. He smashed him. There's really not much else to say. If you want to see a Khabib-esque character go out and execute that exciting ground and pound game plan, watch Khamzat, watch this fight. Usman, you have the skills to pay the bills. You can fight like this, buddy. This is the style that puts fans in the seats when they're back, of course, and this is the kind of style that will get you pay-per-views. So take notes. It may not be the easiest style to execute, but it's definitely exciting and it's definitely effective. Hence what Khamzat did to Phillips and what Khabib's doing at the top of 155. In the next one, we had Larone Murphy defeat Ricardo Hammo. So this one goes as a loss for us, but I did say that this was the one that was a little split down the middle. I had two metrics picking Hammo and one picking Murphy. So obviously in that one metric, it's marked out as right, and we went over 50% accurate on that one, but the official pick was Ricardo, and he ultimately got knocked out by Murphy. So, I kind of half called it, but obviously it wasn't the official pick. And Murphy picks up a great win. Solid-looking United Kingdom product. I am looking forward to seeing more out of him. And another product I'm looking forward to seeing more out of. Modestas Bukauskas defeats Andreas Michailidis. And so Michailidis is kind of a weird one. He basically gets knocked out right at the end of round one. And what happens is he's catching, I think, some like almost 6'12" style elbows to the back of the head, if I'm not mistaken. And he was pretty rocked. And the referee comes over, he's talking to him, he's not standing up right away. He definitely needs a break, and I'm sure the ref is thinking like, hey, can this guy continue? And then the cage door opens up so that the trainers and cutmen and everything else can come in. And he goes to basically use the cage, I think, as a brace to get up. The cage obviously isn't there because the door's open, and he falls out of the cage very briefly. He doesn't fall out onto the ground or anything, but he falls backwards. And when the referee sees that, considering the fact he didn't pop right back up, I'm sure the questioning, if the athlete would be safe to continue, he waves the fight off. Correct move to make. I think in the fighter's best interest, because you don't want to see a guy take extra damage when he doesn't have to. So, not good for Michailidis getting the loss, but you don't necessarily want to see a young talent get destroyed early on. So, hey, it's just kind of one of those circumstances where I think the ref made the right call, but I understand the argument to be made either way. Either way, we got this one correct, though. In one that we did not get correct, Jared Flash Gordon defeats Chris Fishgold. Again, Fishgold is not able to execute any takedowns himself. He gets taken on 3 times, and he's not able to put his submission game on, although he does get one attempt in. Either way, though, Chris Fishgold is outdone, and we get that one wrong. And another one we got wrong, Liana Jojua defeats Diana Belbita. In this one, it was an armbar win 2.5 minutes in. Belbita ends up getting submitted, and that's all she wrote. And the last one, which we did get correct, Jack Shore defeats Aaron Phillips. The solid fight. I didn't actually catch it, though. I saw a couple highlights. Good performance by Jack Shore. Picks up the rear naked choke in the second round. So like I said, not our favorite performance, 45%, going 5-6 overall. Not the best, but hey, it is what it is. These cards are tough to call lately, it seems. And so let's move on to the next one. Here's the fight picks for Figueiredo versus Benavidez. All right, let's talk about our main event here because it is for the sequel to the flyweight contest. And in this one, we're going to have Deiveson Figueiredo hopefully making weight. In fact, you know what? At the time of recording this, weight I think has been taken. Let's see if it's official. All right, I just confirmed it. We are going to be official in Abu Dhabi for the 125-pound flyweight title, with both fighters making weight at 125 pounds even. So we finally have an opportunity for either guy to take the title. And as far as who's going to win it, though, I am going to go again with the Brazilian fighter, Deiveson Figueiredo. I think that he's still going to have it to put on Benavidez, and we still have not seen Benavidez perform under the bright lights. This is a guy that's had the opportunity to win the title multiple times, and I'm afraid the only trophy he has in his life is Megan O'Leary, because that is the only one he's ever going to win. It's a hell of a prize. Let's, not mince words about it. Megan O'Leary is a dime if there ever was one, but he's never going to grab the UFC gold, and I'm sure that's his hopes and his dreams, but he's never performed under the bright lights, and I do not expect him to do it here in Abu Dhabi against a fighter that he just lost to. And I don't think it was the weight cut. I don't think Figueiredo had much of an advantage there. It was definitely the headbutt, and you know what? We can definitely see that kind of thing happening again if Benavidez keeps leading with his head. They may clash heads, and we know what happens there with Benavidez. Now, they could land at a different angle. Things could go the other way, but I still thought Benavidez was losing anyways. Figueiredo is just a menace at 125 pounds, and I expect him to put it on Benavidez again, picking up an official 125-pound title. Now, can he continue to make weight and defend it? That remains to be seen. But we are going with Deiveson Figueiredo to pick up a win in Abu Dhabi. All right, let's talk about the co-main here. We're going to have Jack the Joker Hermansson taking on Kelvin has a hard time making weight Gastelum. So I say that, but Gastelum's now securely at the 185-pound division, so I don't think he'll have any problem. And in fact, he is official. Let's check it out here. Yeah, he weighed at 186, which, at 5'9", he probably could fight at a different weight class, but hey, the reality is he has a hard time staying away from the lunch table. And in this one, though, I think the hard times are going to continue for Gastelum. He has a 6-inch reach disadvantage against Hermansson, and Hermansson is just a destroyer of worlds. Granted, he did lose to Cannonier, but we know that Gastelum is not Cannonier. He doesn't have that explosiveness. He's not going to be as big as Cannonier's frame is, and I think Hermansson is going to have his way with him. Hermansson has great striking output. If this thing goes to the mat, we know that Hermansson has the submission skills. He beat Jacare Souza, he beat David Branch, and I think he's going to put Kelvin Gastelum on his list of victories. We are going with Jack the Joker Hermansson to pick up a win in this middleweight bout. All right, moving on to our next one here at lightweight. We're going to have Mark Jacasey take on Rafael Fazev. And in this one, I really like Jacasey. I think that he's a really well-rounded product coming off of back-to-back wins with Venata and Duffy, and he just looks really good right now. He has the rounded game where he's able to score takedowns and work ground and pound game. He's got great striking. He's not as accurate or as high volume as Fazev, but I think that Jacasey's going to be able to neutralize him with the takedowns. He's got the reach advantage, he's got the frame size advantage, and I think he's going to be able to take it at least to the distance, if not shut the door. Either way, he's getting a win. We're going Mark Jacasey in this matchup. All right, we have the great-looking Ariane Lipski, the Violence Queen, taking on Luana Carolina. So in this one, if I had to pick based on looks, I'd go Lipski. If I had to pick based on talent, I'd go Carolina. So we got another fighter versus... Not that Lipski isn't a good fighter, but I'm going to call it another fighter versus looker situation, and I think that Carolina here is going to get it done. She looked fire in her win against Priscilla Cachoeira, and we've seen Lipski struggle in the UFC. She did beat De Padua, but she lost to Mccann and Calderwood in her 2 debut outings in the UFC, and I expect her to honestly take another loss here against Carolina. So Luana Carolina is the pick in Abu Dhabi. All right, in our next fire flyweight matchup here, we're going to have Askar Askarov taking on Alexander Pantoja. And in this one, I like Askarov here. Pantoja is a solid fighter. His only loss really over his last number of outings here, 5, is a loss to Figueiredo. And we haven't seen as much out of Askarov, but I do like him here. He is an explosive talent. He has good takedowns, and we know Pantoja's takedown defense isn't as great as it could be. Pantoja does throw heavy volume, though, so if he's able to keep Askarov off of him, I can certainly see him picking up a win. We'll see how things play out, though. I am overall, though, going with Askarov to pick up a win. All right, our next contest here, we're skipping over one. We're going to get back to the debuters at the end. Grant Dawson and Nad Narimani is the fight we're talking about. This is going to be a catchweight bout because let's take a look here. Nadermani and Dawson both weigh in at 150 pounds. Looking here at the numbers, though, I like Dawson here. His takedown numbers, his submission game is on fire. He's an amazing 15-1 fighter. He's run through everybody in the UFC thus far, and we saw Nadermani take a loss to Grundy not that long ago. Also, Dawson has the frame advantage. He's got the reach advantage. He's got a nice switch stance on him, and I expect him to pick up a win here. He is the pick in Abu Dhabi. All right, next one here, we have the Irish Joe Duffy taking on Joel Alvarez. And in this one, I'm going with Alvarez. Talk about size advantages. 6'3" to 5'10", and 77 inches over 73 for Alvarez. So, again, advantage in size, advantage in length, solid striking output, decent enough accuracy. These guys are actually fairly similar, but I do like Alvarez's ability to win here just a little bit more. He came into the UFC, picked up a loss, got right back on his horse, picked up a win, and we've seen, Duffy go back and forth, win, loss, win, loss. In fact, he's coming off of 2 losses in a row to Vic and Jacasey, and I expect him to make it 3 in a row with another loss here to the bigger, more explosive fighter in Alvarez. We'll see how things play out, though, in Abu Dhabi, but the pick is Alvarez. All right, the next one here, we're going to have Brett Johns, the Pikey, taking on Montel Jackson in a bantamweight matchup. And in this one, I like Montel Quick Jackson. Has the reach advantage, has the striking advantage, and I think, honestly, has a slight takedown edge here. He's scoring more over 15 minutes with a higher accuracy rate. The submission game, I think, is a little bit higher when you look at attempts out of the Pikey. And who doesn't love the Pikey? The guy is a very, very tough son of a gun, and I don't expect him to go down easily. However, Montel Jackson has just looked amazing in his run with wins over Kelleher, Sukumtat, and Corrales in his last 3 outings, whereas, again, we've seen some kind of, wavering of faith here in Brett Johns, and I don't expect him to get a win in this one. So we are going to make the pick of Montel Jackson in this bantamweight matchup. All right, last one before we get to the debuters. We're going to have Davi Hammo taking Arman Saryukin. We'll go with that one. So basically we have one takedown wrestling machine versus a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu master. And in this one, I'm going with the takedown machine. This is a guy who basically went toe-to-toe with Islam Makhachev in Saryukin and, basically had him at different points. And I don't think we're going to see that out of Hamos. He also lost to Makhachev himself, so MMA math, these guys are fairly equal, but I thought Hamos lost worse here. I thought that Saryukin competed better at that level, and he also got a win over a great wrestler in Aubin Mercier here in his last outing. I think Saryukin here is going to have enough answers to Hamos's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game, and I think he's going to be able to prevent it. I see this fight going to the mat, though, regardless, with Saryukin staying on top, putting on the ground and pound, and preventing the submission game of Hamos, just like we've seen out of Makhachev. That is the call in this last non-debut fight. For the debut fights, though, we have 3 of them. We're going to just go over them real quick. Dolidide, Albazi, and Spivak. Those are the picks. So Roman Dolidze is taking on Kadis Ibrahimov. We have, Malcolm Gordon taking on Amir Albizi, and Carlos Felipe is taking on Sergey Spivak. So let's go over them one more time. Figueiredo, Hermanson, Jacasey, Carolina, Askarov, Dawson, Alvarez, Jackson, Saryukin, and then our 3 debuters in Dolidze, Albazi, and Spivak to round things out. So we've had a really busy week here. I hope you've enjoyed listening to them. I've been, trying to keep up with them. I'm sorry they're coming out a little bit later, but it's just a little bit tough with everything else going on in my life and trying to get all the Fights Crunch and the show out and everything else. So I do appreciate you sticking with me and getting those downloads, hitting those like buttons, and everything else. I always appreciate you guys reaching out, which if you want to do that, fightingspiritpodcast@gmail.com is the email. At MMA Fight Picks 01 is how you get me on Twitter, and there's also the Patreon in the description down below if you'd like to support the show at a dollar amount that makes the most sense for you. So we're going fast and furious here through Abu Dhabi. Let's take a look at some upcoming events here. We're going to have, holy hell, we're reaching the end of this thing. Whitaker versus Till is on the 25th. And then we have Holm versus Aldana and Miocic versus Cormier 3 on the 15th. So we are going fast and furious. I thought that Till fight was still a few weeks away, but it looks like we'll be crunching that one for probably Tuesday the 21st at this point. And we'll just keep them coming fast and furious. We'll keep crunching them. You keep listening. And until I speak with you again, happy fight picking.